All right, welcome back. Episode 2. I'm going to talk a little bit today about getting this 92 Integra back home after a very hectic weekend of driving all the way through the night to bid on it at a charity auction, winning the car, and then needing to figure out a way to get it home since I had driven to California. So I did go ahead and place an order to have the car transported by a company called Montway. Very highly reputed broker. They assured me on the phone that because it was traveling between two very big cities, it shouldn't take longer than 48 to 72 hours to dispatch, and then the driver could probably pick it up within a few days. So this was on Saturday when I went ahead and paid for the order, or reserved it rather, and went ahead and went about my business, came back to Phoenix, and then 2 days went by, 3 days went by, 4 days went by, still no carrier had even been assigned to the car. And meanwhile, it's sitting 12 hours away from me at an auction facility in Redwood City, California, just waiting to be picked up. I didn't know if there were going to be people in and out messing with it because this auction's open to the public and people can go in and sit in the cars and kick the tires and rev the engines and whatever. So I didn't want the car sitting there longer than it needed to be, and neither did the people who ran the place. So my patience started wearing a little bit thin with Montway, and finally by the 5th day, I sent them an email and I said, hey, what's the deal? You know, this car, I thought I would have it by now. And I ended up getting a very lengthy response about how you're in priority status, we'll get it taken care of. A few hours later in the afternoon, I got a phone call that said, oh, we found a trucker that can pick the car up. He can get it Monday. This was Thursday. They said he can get it Monday, and it's going to be about $800, which was almost $300 more than I had initially planned on spending just to ship the car. So I said, absolutely not, cancel the order, I'll figure something else out. So again, in the spur of the moment nature of things, I had to rearrange my weekend a little bit because I had company and everything, but they were very understanding. Booked a last minute flight. I flew to San Jose the following evening, grabbed a hotel for one night, and then caught an Uber ride to the auction facility, and I was there when they opened on Saturday morning. So again, it felt a lot like the prior weekend because I'm losing sleep over getting to this place on a Saturday morning to get this car. So this time I was actually going to drive it home. The only kind of gut-wrenching thing about that is this is a 26-year-old car that I had zero paperwork on. The only thing I knew was that the timing belt was changed in 2012 because there was a sticker in the engine compartment. If I didn't have record of that, I probably wouldn't have dared drive it at all. Anyway, I showed up, I exchanged salutations with the owner of the auction, who says, oh yeah, I hear you collect Acuras. I said, yeah, I'm a little nuts. So went ahead and got in the car, and I went on my way. And up until this point, I'd only driven it a mile maybe, and this was after I had won it the prior weekend, so I didn't know that everything worked for sure. It only had an 1/8 tank of gas, so I stopped at Chevron right off the bat and topped off the tank. And then I went on my way. And 101 highway southbound to 152 to I-5 to 210 to 57 to 10. That was my entire routing, 800 miles worth. But let me say that the car did great. Mechanically, it's perfect. The clutch is great. The shifter is great. The brakes are great. The headlights work. What more can I ask for, right? Except the car has some weird electrical stuff going on. It didn't take me more than 3 minutes in the car to realize, when I took the cigarette lighter out, that the whole housing was loose. And I put my phone charger in there, and the housing just wobbles and no charge available. It'll maybe sneak a second worth of charge and then it'll turn off. So my phone's at 22%. I'm thinking, okay, it's gonna be a long 12-hour drive with no phone when that dies. Not only that, so then I tried the radio. If I could get the radio to work, it was only giving me one speaker. Tried the cruise control, no cruise control working. So My right leg and foot got a real challenge for the next day, 12 hours anyway, driving with no cruise control. But the longer I kept playing around with stuff in this car, I kept thinking, what is going on with this thing? And just quirky stuff. And my favorite one, and I wrote down, I had my day planner with me, and I kept making notes every time I discovered something that was weird. My favorite one was, if you put in this car, if you're on the highway and you put your left turn signal on the 5th flash, it starts flashing the door light, like the doors open, and alternating on and off with my rear window defroster. I don't know how those items are even related, but it does that. The clock resets itself to 1 o'clock every time I turn the car off. Odd. The radio antenna doesn't go up, which is odd because it was going up and down when I bid on the car a week prior, so I don't know if something happened to it. Just a lot of this stuff seems related. The dome light's not working. The marker lights aren't working up front. So, gonna do some troubleshooting. I feel like something is on the fritz internally. Maybe the dash instrument panel's been wet. Maybe, you know, the car has more to tell story-wise than what I found out. So we'll start with easy stuff. I'm gonna look at fuses, you know, reset the battery, a few other things, bulbs, stuff like that, just kind of see what I can tackle. But thankfully, none of that was drivability concerns. I got the car all the way home in one piece, and really, it sort of feels like a testament to just my trust in the brand in general, that I would fly alone to another state to buy a car that, per the Carfax, had only been driven 20 miles in 2 years from one emissions check to the next. And here I am getting in this car to drive at 800 miles with no phone and no cruise control. That took a little bit of a leap of faith, but as you can see, I made it. The drive time was not entirely smooth. I had a couple very heavy delays in LA, which is typical, and other than that, it was okay. But rolled back into town about 9 o'clock p.m. on Saturday. I had left about 9 o'clock a.m., so literally 12 hours in the car door to door, and it did great. So it's time to start thinking about taking care of some of those electrical gremlins, but I'm happy to have the car here. And my next episode, I'm going to talk a little bit about how I did the first intense detail session with the car, as well as some future plans for what I'm going to do with it. So come back and check it out. Here's the first fuel up in Redwood City. Gonna hit the road here in just a second. This has been a very interesting drive home, but I am happy to report that the car is doing okay. I'll be home by about 9 o'clock tonight. Today I'm wearing my Just One More Car I Promise t-shirt because it seems fitting. I've been on the road since about 8:30 this morning, 11, 12, 1. So I think that clock is wrong. There's some weird electric stuff going on with this car. I'll have to make a list of what all I'm noticing, but the good news is I'm getting there in one piece, and I survived gridlock in LA, extended highway drives, and some grades uphill. So mechanically it seems okay, just these weird electrical things going on. I'll make note of that later. This car seriously has a mind of its own. I'm just going to give an example. So if I hit left turn signal for more than 5 flashes, it starts flashing the door icon, alternating my defroster and flashing the clock. What the crap is that all about? Ah! It's 9 hours drive, and I just figured out a way to make the cassette tape player work. Even though it's only playing through one speaker, it is nice to not have an absolutely silent car right now. I made it, almost. Just a couple hours to go. Woo. Scary out here. And didn't realize there was a return ramp to get to eastbound I-10. So I'm detouring 50 miles on this side street. Whatever, at least it's pretty. And I am back. It's been about 24 hours since I took off from here in Phoenix at the airport. And just a few minutes from home now. It's been a long day on the road. All right, the new car is tucked in and it's looking a little dirty. And honestly, it needs quite a bit of work. It's not really up to my standards right now, but I'm gonna waste zero time getting that front license plate off because Arizona does not require one. That's the first thing to go. Car will probably get a bath here in the next couple days. But for now, it is tucked into the garage with all the others. This panel is pretty rough. I'm gonna try and get this scratch out right here. I also removed the rubber pieces that go right here. My GSR obviously already has that gone.